In this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how you can install WordPress on Proxmox Container. Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to install WordPress on our Proxmox Container. So we have two different methods. One is going to be called a manual method and one is going to be called a pre-installed method. So let's start with the easiest one. So I'm going to go into my local data store, and under that, I'm going to go into CD templates, and I'm going to download a template for WordPress, which is like pre-made. You download it and you install it on a container, and it's going to be just for one WordPress site. But with the second method, which is going to be the manual method, you can have like multiple WordPress depending on the disk space you assign on your container. All right, image has been downloaded. So I'm going to go ahead and create a container and I'm going to name it WordPress. And I'm going to give it a password. After setting up the password, I'm going to click next, and then I will select the one which says Debian 12 Turnkey WordPress. So I'm going to select that one and hit next. And under the disk storage, now it depends what you're going to put on your WordPress site. If it's a static site, let's say for a lawyer, for a doctor, for a clinic, or something which is going to be static, not adding too much stuff, then I think 1 GB should be fine. Or if you have something like where you're going to constantly add images or videos, then assign depending on the size you're thinking of. It could be like 100 gigs, it could be 500 gigs, depending on the file size, what you're going to add into the disk. So this one is going to be just for test. And if I add a few videos or let's say thousands of images, 10 gigs is perfectly fine for long term. And you can use one core, but again, the more is the better. And 512 is fine as well, but I'm going to use 2048 for memory and for the swap as well. And then I'm going to use a LAN network, and we can set a static IP address or DHCP, but static IP address is preferred if you're going to use Nginx proxy manager for reverse proxy. Okay, so I'm going to give it the IP address 3, and this is going to be the gateway. So complete address is with /16. And next I'm going to use zzsol.uk, which is my test domain, and Google DNS is preferred. Next, and start after created. Once it's created, it will start automatically. And one thing I want to tell you, I always think about in like other videos, I should tell you about that. So under option, make sure it's checked start at boot. Like in case if your server reboots, these machines will not automatically turn on by default. So you have to go into options and then manually check one by one. So whenever server reboots or restarts, these machines will automatically power on. So I'm selecting all of those. And okay, so the machine is powered on. Let's double click on this one. Okay. Username for all the containers is always root, and the password, whatever you set while creation of the machine. Okay. So this is going to be the Outlook of turnkey applications. So it's asking for the password for MySQL adminer account. So make sure you set a super secure password for this, and it's going to confirm you for the password. Okay. And then it's going to ask you for the WordPress admin account password. This is going to be different than the MySQL adminer password. And then it's going to ask you what email address you want to use. So I'm gonna say I'll use this email address, and then you will have to set a domain name. So let's say we're going to use blog.zzsoul.uk, and I'll tell you that as well, how we can set in the Nginx proxy manager and all. Okay, and then for the backup service, which is paid service from Turnkey, I'm not going to do that because I don't have any kind of subscription, and it's confirming the email address for notifications and alerts. I'm gonna say yes, enable. This is correct. And then the last thing it's going to ask you for the security updates. I'll say yes, install. And it will take a couple seconds and then everything will be installed. All right, so it took like 2 minutes and it's installed. Now it's asking to reboot. So after reboot, we should be good and we should be able to access via IP address. So for that, we have this machine Linux Mint here. Once it's rebooted, I'll try to access using this machine. Let's check again if it's rebooted. Yes, it's rebooted and it's back. Okay, so I'm gonna type here the IP address .3, and you can see it's showing me turnkey application and simple page, which is the actual, you can say the theme, which is currently installed. Let's try WP admin on that one and see if we can access it. No, I'm going to go back and see some more settings here after logging in. Okay, once you're logged in, you can see advanced command line config run by running the command conf cons console. Okay, it's showing me this IP address and the webmin address is this 12321. I'm going to go back to the other machine and okay, so that's the problem. It's trying to go to the URL, which is actually not forwarding. So let's first go ahead and create the domain for that and the entry on the NPM. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add record, and which is going to be blog.zzsoul.uk, and then the public IP address of my WAN address of my firewall, which is actually pfSense. Okay, this entry is added, and then I'm going to go ahead to the npm, and under host I'm going to add another proxy host, which is blog.zzsoul.uk, and it's going to .3 address and https 443, and I'm going to go ahead and click on save after selecting the SSL, and let's try that again. No, it's still showing some error. Okay, so I'm gonna try with IP address and the port number, this for webminer, and accept and login. So this is going to be the username and the password for your server itself because it says turnkey. Okay, under dashboard, you can see we have different features and different options. So under servers, Apache Web Server, we have WordPress installed on this, and we are going to set that directory into the Nginx location, add location, and then we are going to set this and backspace here. And again, the same IP address to HTTPS and try again with blog.zzsoul.uk. Okay, so here I can see port 443 and port 80 are both are going to the same directory. So which is like by default entry set. So I'm gonna just paste in my domain name and the IP address with HTTPS 443, and under custom locations, I don't need to assign anything here because that's by default. And for SSL, I'm gonna use this and gonna try one more time. So let's see if it's working. If not, then I'm gonna go ahead, try into a private browser because sometimes those browsers get stuck as well. Well, I think I need to try this on my actual computer. So let's try it here. blog.zzsoul.uk. Yes, here you can see it's working. I think on the machine, it's getting everything from the cache. So, sorry, it's /wp admin and admin. Remind me later. So it's asking for the email address. Current email address is set to this. This is correct, or update, or remind me later. I'm gonna say remind me later. So now you can see that's how we install WordPress. And here we can like update themes, post, and do whatever we do with the WordPress. So it was like pretty simple. You just download the image and you install. Okay, now let's move to the second method. Okay, jumping over to the second method, which is much easier and my favorite because you can have like multiple websites, applications, and so many other stuff. Okay, so for that, we're going to use one application which is called Virtual Mint, and we're going to install it on the top of Ubuntu Server 2404. And since I said I'm going to use it in the container, so I'm going to install container. But before that, I'm going to download the image for Ubuntu. So Ubuntu 24 download, since it's the lighter image, the minimal version, it shouldn't take that long, 135 MBs. All right, it's downloaded. So let's just create a container and I'm going to call it web host. And we will use the same host name. 104 is fine and nesting is enabled. Yeah, make sure nesting is enabled for this one. And we are going to use Ubuntu and disk space. I'm gonna say 100 gigs since I'm going to use multiple websites on this one. And I'll use 4 cores and the memory of 8 gigs and same as swap as well. And then for the network, I'm going to use LAN network with this IP address. And this is going to be the gateway, gateway address. And again, the same domain and the Google DNS. And I'm going to check on create after, start after created. Then I'm going to click on finish. Okay, machine is created and started. So I'm going to go ahead and open web host, root, and the super secure password. Okay. So once it's created, make sure it's updated. So I'm going to do apt update and apt upgrade. -y. If there is any pending updates and upgrade, we'll do that. And meanwhile, on this website, you can see the overview, how it's going to look like. It will have webmin as well, but on the top of it, you'll have virtual min, what we are actually going to use. And on the dashboard, shows all the information about your operating system and the system as well. Okay, so click on try virtual min, and here we have just one-liner bash code. Just going to copy it, and it's going to bundle with LAMP, which is Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP, combination of that. Okay, and I'm gonna go to the machine again. Yeah, it's taking a few seconds. I'm gonna pause the video recording. All right, so it's updated and upgraded. I'm gonna go ahead and paste this shell command. And one thing I will remove is sudo, because I'm already logged in as the root, so I don't need to add more sudo command. Okay, so curl is not found. It's because I have installed Ubuntu minimal version, so curl is not installed. So first we will install curl apt install curl. Once this one is installed, and then we should be able to run the command using curl. Okay, so now you can see I'm able to run the command. Okay, so first thing, changes the virtual min license command. The system currently support this, Debian or Ubuntu this. So if you are on one of these operating system, it will install. Otherwise, it will fail. So do you want to continue? Yes, we are using Ubuntu 24, which is in the list. We should be fine. And I'm gonna type Y and hit enter. And then it's gonna ask for postfix, which is going to be for email. Like, we will configure email server as well in future, not in this video. Otherwise, it will be like an hour-long video. So it says pre-installed software detected postfix. It's okay. Continue. So this one means like postfix is already installed. I guess it came with the Ubuntu image, but otherwise, yes, we are gonna the postfix to set up our mail server. This process normally takes 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes, depending on the resources you assign to your virtual machine. Mine one is going pretty fast, so it's on phase 3 of 4. All right, so the installation was completed in almost 10 to 12 minutes. Now we can access the virtual min using the IP address and the port 10,000. So I'm gonna go into my Linux machine, which is right here, and gonna type the IP address, which is this, and port 10,000. If I see this page, that means something is going to show up. So it was installed correctly. And the username I'm going to use is root, because it's installed on the container. It's always going to be root. And okay, so this is the post installation wizard. So you have to read everything carefully, because the settings are going to be saved for like forever. So first thing, it's asking you to continue or skip. I'm going to say yes, continue. Okay, now it's saying tune virtual min for better email processing. If you're going to use this for email server as well, then make sure you have like enough RAM for this one. And I'm not going to use this one specifically, this machine, for email. So I'm gonna say no. Slower processing email, less RAM used, but more CPU is fine for me. And then it's asking for if your system will host domains that receive large volume of email incoming. This is also related to email. If you are going to use like multiple emails, so it's going to use more RAM. And I'm like, no, because I'm not going to use this for email. So do not scan any email. This is the utility Clam AV, which is like antivirus for scanning the email. And then it's going to ask me what database server you're going to run. I'm going to run MariaDB, so that one is fine. I don't want to run PostgreSQL, so I'm gonna check no, which is like by default set, and hit next, and then hit next. Okay, so to prevent other users on your system from managing database, a password for the root should be set. Currently, MariaDB password is not set, which is highly insecure. So you can leave authentication for root user or set some password. I will recommend you to set some password. So let me set the password. Okay, in the next step, it's asking for the DNS, resolving this DNS. Well, currently it's not set, but we can do that. It's not a big deal. So we're going to add a record, which is going to be web host, and then the IP address. And then I'm going to save it. All right, this record is saved. And then under Nginx Proxy Manager, I'm going to forward this domain as well, webhost.zzsol.uk. And the IP address is 172.0.4. Let's say HTTPS, and the port is going to be 10,000. If you remember, we used port 10,000. So use this SSL certificate. And currently for the main page, for the server itself, like the host itself, I'm not going to use any custom locations, but we will install WordPress on this one, and we should be able to access using the same IP address for multiple sites, but we will use different ports and different locations. Okay, so I'm going to try using webhost.zzsol.uk. Okay, so it's showing up. That means our domain name is working perfectly fine. And I'm gonna add a few records, blog 01, and forwarding to the same one. And for test, I'll add another one so I can guide you guys completely. So I'm forwarding 2 blogs, so I will install 2 WordPress sites on this one using the same machine. Okay, so this one is done. We can skip resolvability, or we can like check it. We have both options, but for now I'm gonna just skip it because I'm trying to save time on the video. It's already too long. And then it's asking for the email address. Default is this. If you want to set something, I can set this address. And I do have access to those email addresses. So make sure you set the correct email address. And once you are finished, it's going to show you your main page, you can say, where you can create first machine on your server. Okay, so I'm going to create a virtual machine. I'm going to click on create a virtual server first, and I'm going to name it same blog01.zzsol.uk and test site 1. And then for the administration, it's asking for like what username you want to set. So this is for the user access on virtual main. If you can leave it as it is, that's fine. Otherwise, if you want to use any password, make sure you use it for administration password so you can like remember what you set for specifically this site. But this is not going to be used on WordPress. We will do that part later. So just for my ease, I'm gonna set a blog username as my subdomain one or the domain so I can remember what I set up, and a password as well. And then I'll go ahead and click on create server. So it's going to have all these features. and I'm not going to save the password. It will take a couple seconds and then it will install all the directories, everything for you. Okay, once you see all everything is done and the page is refreshed, you're good to go. Now you can add your files. Like if you're a web developer, you can put in your PHP files or HTML files into the file manager and it will show with this domain. Or the other option is to install web apps, which is like the easiest way, what actually the topic is for this video. So we are going to install WordPress. I'm going to check this one and scroll down all the way to the end and show install options. And here we will set the password and the name for this blog. So it's the initial login web page, like where you go to WP admin and you put in the username and the password. So this is going to be the password for that. So I'm going to say testing123 at, and the site name is going to be test site 123. Or you can check do not perform initial setup, but that's going to be a little complicated. You're going to have to remember the database name, the password, like it's a little bit complicated, but not so difficult. And make sure you do that at the top level domain. So it's installed on blog01.zzsoul.uk, not blog01.zzsoul.uk/WordPress. That's going to be complicated as well. And then after verifying everything here, you can set a prefix for table for this WordPress. And after that, just simply click on install now. It's going to be at the top level, like on this one, not another directory. So it says you need to use more characters. So let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 at, or let's start with, I think capital letter is missing. So start with this testing 1, 2, 3, 9 and at, and install now. And I'm going to click on install now again. Meanwhile, I will add entry on. So I have added blog 01, and here I need to add on the npm blog01.zzsoul.uk. Create this, and then I'm going to use the same IP address, but here I will use port 443, and the scheme is going to be HTTPS. Now, here is the main part. You're going to add a location for this one. So once it's installed, it's going to show me a location that I'm going to put in that box where it's asking for add location. And here I'm going to use the same IP address, and I'll use HTTPS. Port is fine if you use port 80, doesn't matter. Okay, so now I'm going to go back, return to the virtual server details. I'm going to click on that. And here I can see the directory, which is home blog 1. Well, actually, it should be public. So I'm going to go back to manage web apps. On WordPress, it will show you the actual directory. And I'm going to copy that and into npm manager, I'm just going to paste it. Otherwise, if you don't want to, if you want to remember this, it's going to be your blog name and the public underscore HTML. It's simple. And then I'm going to use SSL certificate and we will save it. Okay, now this entry is saved, and then I'm going to install another one. So create a new virtual server, and I created the entry blog022. So I'm just going to use the same one. Domain name is blog022.zzsoul.uk. And same thing, username and the password, everything. And I'm going to click on create server and install WordPress. Okay, server is created. Now I'm going to go into manage web apps. But one thing to make sure, it should be selected on blog 022 or whatever you have created. So go to manage web apps, and then we have like multiple applications. So it's Classic Press, which is like the lighter version of WordPress, Roundcube for email, Square Mail, and Wiki, like a few free applications. But with the paid version of Virtual Main, you get all of those for free. So I'm gonna go ahead and click on WordPress and show install options. It's going to be the same exactly at the top level, and we call it my blog and the password, and then I'm going to click on install now. So let's use the same password actually. Testing and blog 02. Do not perform initial. No, I do want to perform. Okay, everything is correct, and then I'm going to click on install now. So the only thing is pending, which is the entry on npm. So I want to do everything here first and then test. It's going to be 172.16.0.4, the same IP address one more time, same port 443, custom location. It's going to be home, ZZ blog 022 slash public underscore HTML. And then the entry for this is going to be same HTTPS. I don't know what is wrong with the keyboard. Okay. And then the SSL certificate and save. Now let's test it out on the actual machine here. Blog 01.zzsoul.uk and blog 022.zzsoul.uk. So this one is saying misdirected request. I think something is wrong, or I guess it's still being installed. Nope, not here. Let's check it out. What's going on here? Okay, it's not even installed. So that's why I didn't press the install button. So it's still being installed. Once it's installed, it's going to show you the WordPress front page. All right, so now it's installed, and let's try one more time. Hopefully it's picking up from the cache. Blog 022.zzsoul.uk. Nope, something is wrong. But this one is working fine. So we can test out stuff like WP admin, and we set the username blog01 and the password testing 123456789 at. Okay, so this one is working, but I think this one is having some location because I typed it. Could be that, but we can fix it. So yeah, here is the problem. It created the directory with blog22, not blog 022. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this one. Just remove 0 and it should be fine. Okay, let's try again. Or just simply copy this location and paste it. So it was a space in the location. Now it's working fine. If I type blog 022.zsoul.uk, .zzsoul.uk, now you can see it's showing me the blog, and I can log into the WordPress admin as well. So that's how you can install like multiple. So I just installed 2. You can do like hundreds of WordPress application, and there are more applications as well. One last thing I want to add in this video before ending, I want to show you that I can access my web host using the web host or digital.uk, but there is going to be one error. So I'm going to enter this and using root and the root password. So one thing, it will get stuck on sign in. What I was never able to fix what's going on. I have tried like multiple fixes, but it stays here. So all you have to do is just press enter and it will just redirect you to the login. I don't know why it gets stuck there with the domain name only. With the IP address, it works perfectly fine. Okay. And another thing, sometimes when you want to see a few features using the domain like manage web apps or something like this, you will see this error. So how you can fix this? It's like really simple, pretty straightforward. Just copy this line and you have to edit this file etc webmin and config. So go to your machine and open nano webmin config, and then find if you can find the referer where it's showing the referer, but it was never there when I was working. Could be in the latest version, but if not, just save this one and you need to restart the machine and this error will be gone. Okay, my machine is rebooted, so I'm gonna go back or just try again on this page, manage web apps. Now you can see I'm able to access this page. So it was like pretty simple, straightforward. And we have WordPress here. There is like available web apps you can see, and there is like unsupported web versions as well if you want to try those. And one thing I guess I missed, which is going to be if you want to install something on the main domain, you can do that simply with same procedure. Just instead of typing like complete domain, just type your top level domain and install the virtual server. And then you can install any of the application like WordPress or the classic press. And if you have any kind of questions related to virtual mean, you can ask me. I have done like bunch of projects on this. And thank you so much once again for watching this video. If you like this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.